program that performs surgeries on minors, then I'm going to assume that the program existed. Otherwise, you couldn't have paused it. So now, the exact number of kids who are being subjected to this, I don't know exactly. It's really hard to come up with those numbers. I think
it certainly is, especially when you lie about it for a living. You were caught in 4K on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Right.
It says over the last 5 years, there were at least 4,780 adolescents who started puberty blockers and had a prior gender dysphoria diagnosis.
It's kind of undercounted, but that
would be a big undercounting.
less than 1,000 people a year.
Yeah.
Pretty big. Pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess, hundreds of thousands. But I could be wrong.
Oh, we know, Matt. We know, because you do this for money, right? You lie for money.
Million sounds great.
Yeah. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds a lot better. Sounds a lot more dire. Okay, so you may have seen Matt Walsh yesterday making some posts, getting real excited about the fact that he thinks he destroyed a whole bunch of Democrats, let's just say, who have been poisoned by the woke mind virus, the liberal agenda, that kind of stuff. That's what's happening right now. So here, Matt Walsh got absolutely rolled the Tennessee gender affirming care ban. Oh, that was too loud. Oh, I'll turn that down next time. Sorry. You have no medical background, correct? This was quote tweeted by Matt Walsh. Still not, that's the reason why Conyers changed to Walsh Defends Child Predators.
Can you give us a summary of your educational background or your healthcare?
Actually, we'll watch this in full. We need to get it unfiltered. Otherwise, we'll be accused of changing things for
mental health and suicidal tendencies for the people who have gone through transition and for people who have not. In your studies, from what I've read, can you speak to that?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized.
Sure. Well, the claim that doing the chemical castration drugs or surgery or hormonal intervention, the claim that this prevents suicide or
Representative Clemens, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you give us a summary of your educational background or your healthcare education experience?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized.
My experience in healthcare?
Your educational background. I'm just curious. You've testified as to a lot of your own research. So I'm curious for what purpose you do that and what background you have to qualifies you to speak to that.
Well, my background that qualifies me to speak to this is that I'm a human being with a brain and common sense, and I have a soul. And so, therefore, I think it's a really bad idea to chemically castrate children. That is my experience. Also, I did. Now, it's true. I didn't go.
Now, he posted this like it was a big ass win. Like they thought they were going to get me, and I told them the truth. And it's like, hey, I don't think anyone here is trying to do kind of like class shaming or to be like, hey, I don't feel like you're an educated person. It's more if you are here to speak specifically on the healthcare of children who are not your own. So this is, you are here to testify on behalf of strangers' children's healthcare. And as far as we know, you don't have trans children, so it's not even going to be things that will affect your children in the future. So this is 100% you are showing up to this health committee to testify about the healthcare of kids. Then what exactly are your qualifications? That in no way is an unfair question. And if the response is, my qualifications are, I have a brain and a soul, it's like, well, okay, but that would not qualify you as an expert in this field, right? As in, should we listen to experts in the field who, again, have had to take a long time to train before they can practice medicine and or understand what they're talking about? Or you, internet man, who has both a brain and a soul?
College, but I did go to school long enough to learn how to read, so I can read the data for myself, and that's exactly what I've done.
Representative Clemens, you're recognized.
And for what purpose do you conduct your research and use this brain of yours?
Mr. Walsh, you're right.
Like, you know, I got to give it to Tennessee. I like the spice. I mean, you know, you're cooking.
I use it for the purpose of trying to protect children from being castrated and mutilated. That's one of the.
So again, you sound like a serial killer. If someone is like, hey, by the way, why are you speaking on this healthcare committee and advocating for the healthcare of strangers' kids and what can or cannot be done to strangers' children? And it's like, I have a brain and a soul. Okay, you said that you have a brain and a soul, and again, what do you use that brain and soul for? To prevent children's genital mutilation and the castration of children. Blah. He's not even talking about circumcision. He's never once advocated against circumcision. You know, that's not what this is about, of course. Otherwise, Matt Walsh would be front and center at the anti-circumcision movement, being like, yeah, I don't think this is a fair decision to be made on a child, that they should have their genitals, I guess, mutilated in this case. You know, people call it by different names, but certainly, this is something I care deeply about. I'm very passionate about this topic.
Things I try to do.
You don't use it to,
Clemens.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. You don't use it to get clicks on your
Let's state that.
publication?
Well, are you using it right now to try to get clicks with this interaction?
On
No, I really like the
Mr.
idea.
Walsh.
So see, he has yet to actually legitimately answer any of these questions, right? It's 100% like bravado. It's like, hey, so what exactly is your expertise in this field? Brain, soul. Okay, like, well, obviously that's probably, that isolated in and of itself is probably going to get you a whole bunch of like, oh shit, Matt just dropped it, you know, dropped a big fat
Of
deuce.
getting of drawing attention to the fact that this is happening to children. I know you seem to find it very amusing. I don't.
Representative Clemens.
And again, it's actually hyper-specific, right? Matt Walsh has never spoken out about teenage girls getting breast implants with their parents' permission, but still getting surgery in which silicone can be implanted into their bodies to increase the size of their breasts. Or, again, cis teenagers getting breast reductions where they may find that their breasts are too large. It causes them back problems, so they get surgery to reduce the size of their breasts. No, Matt Walsh has never spoken out once about these things. He's never had rallies for these things. He doesn't do shows about these things. He's never made movies about these things. It's does he ever talk about circumcision? No. This is 100% about his own issues with trans people and gender identity and all that shit that he can't wrap his head around. That's what this is about. It has nothing to do with, I care deeply about the kids and their genitals. That's why I should be the one to inspect them.
Well, you made a lot of misrepresentations and characterizations in your comments, so I think it's fair for me to question your background.
What did I
and your
mischaracterize?
I'll agree.
Let me finish, please.
You're recognized, Representative Clemens.
You know, if you're going to come before a committee and make mischaracterizations and misrepresentations, it's fair game for us to ask you your educational background and your foundational knowledge for making such characterizations. That's my point. So I'm curious about you speaking to the development of the human brain by the age of 25. I seem to recall you advocating on behalf of firearm possession at the age of 18. Do you think that's appropriate?
Let's stay on the bill, please.
That's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah, well, can I respond to that?
Representative Mitchell, you're recognized.
I can't respond to what.
Representative Mitchell is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, you know, I think your original article, blog post, or tweet, or whatever, kind of started this firestorm. So I'm trying to figure out, you know, where we need to look for these surgeries, because
can I respond
I'm
to that?
still trying to find, you know, the surgeries, because, you know, the sponsor of the bill last week, I kind of agreed with him. I said we need to split this bill into two parts. You know, I may agree with him on the.
By the way, this is refreshing too, because obviously these parts of the United States, like Nashville, you know, or Tennessee, things like that, probably usually associated with more right-wing thought. So it's neat to see, you know, this level of spice being fully applied to trans rights. It's quite refreshing.
Surgery part, because I don't think it's happening. So, you know, you seem to have started this, so I need your evidence of where these surgeries are occurring in Tennessee. Could you give me, you know, places, times, maybe some names, or something that, you know.
It feels like dads chastising their sons. Yeah, exactly. It totally does. It feels like a whole bunch of daddies just fully being like, son, you got to listen up, all right?
Yeah.
You know of?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized.
My evidence is the healthcare provider's own words. You know, I outlined Vanderbilt Health and their.
By the way, so we fully debunked this already. He played the clip that Libs of TikTok recorded. Libs of TikTok was speaking to, again, a hospital receptionist in both cases. They did not speak to a medical professional. They didn't speak to a nurse. They didn't speak to a doctor. They spoke to people who repeatedly were telling them, why don't I book you an appointment, or why don't I get you in to see a specialist? They were trying to direct them because that's what they do. That is their job. And they used one clip of one person when they were like, well, what if I want to schedule something for, you know, my daughter to have like, you know, bottom surgery or something, and she's like 17 or something like that. It's like, should be fine. Why don't I schedule something with a doctor? We can get that organized. Like, that's all they have. They have absolutely zero proof, that these procedures are being done, and the hospitals came out themselves and said, no, there's absolutely no record of that having been performed on people that age for gender affirming care, as well as the fact that, like, it's not a confirmation if you call somewhere and you take the testimony of someone trying to direct you to another call as like, this is factual now. Like, we got him. Oh God, yeah, that person let it slip. Oh, it's over.
Transgender care program, and the people that work for that program, their own words, talking about what they do and talking about, for example, providing the chemical castration drugs to adolescent children. As far as surgeries, double mastectomies do happen, and the way that I know that they happen is that after I called attention to this program at Vanderbilt, they said that they were going to stop performing, they were going to put a pause on the program that performs these surgeries on minors. And so if you're pausing the...
I'm just curious, did, the potential threats to doctors, staff, nurses, that kind of stuff, does that play any part in any part of this discussion? I'm just wondering.
Program that performs surgeries on minors, then I'm going to assume that the program existed. Otherwise, you couldn't have paused it. So now, the exact number of kids who are being subjected to this, I don't know exactly. It's really hard to come up with those numbers. I think
it certainly is, especially when you lie about it for a living. And you were caught in 4K on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Because the people doing it aren't really proud of it, and there's not a lot of interest on their end to tell us. But I do think that, even one child being horrifically mutilated is too many.
Just one.
So I know that it's more than one, and that's reason enough to put a stop to this, I would say.
Representative Mitchell, you're recognized.
Yeah.
So just for a quick refresher here.
Exact numbers, but if we're talking about the drugs, it's millions.
You're talking about hormone blockers.
Yeah,
Millions of kids have been on hormone blockers. Really?
I'm sure someone's going to fact check me on me, but my guess is that we're into the millions now at this point. Yeah, that would be my guess. I can say for double mastectomies, I read a report recently that there were over 1,000 done between 2016 and 2019, and when you compare that to how many were done between 2008 and 2015, it's a massive increase. And over 1,000 girls had gender affirming double mastectomies in that time frame.
And when you say girls, you're talking about prepubescent,
right? Minors, and that's just up until 2019. And then we know that there's been this exponential increase with all this stuff year over year. So it's a lot. It's too many. Having this happen to one kid is way too many. It's a lot more than one.
Yeah, look, if you're an adult and you want to do that and you understand who you are and what you are and this is how you feel you should progress, you're an adult. This is a free country. You should be able to do whatever you want. But when you're talking about doing that to children, the fact that so many people are on board and so many people are angry, if you have, people are going to be angry at us that we're having these conversations.
Yeah, they will be. And I also... I actually think that that this shouldn't be happening to.
It's a very small number, if that's right.
It says over the last 5 years, there were at least 4,780 adolescents who started puberty blockers and had a prior gender dysphoria diagnosis.
This says it's kind of undercounted, but that
would be a big undercounting.
Less than 1,000 people a year.
Yeah, pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess hundreds of thousands, but I could be wrong.
Oh, we know, Matt. We know because you do this for money, right? You lie for money.
Million sounds great.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds a lot better. Sounds a lot more dire.
So last week I had an amendment that we're looking to protect children from abuse, and I also had an amendment to stop cosmetic surgery of rhinoplasty and breast enhancements to minors. How would you feel about that?
Sure.
Is that mutilation of children as well under the age of 18? They can't think for themselves?
Representative Mitchell, that's not on the bill that we have.
Yeah, it is.
But no, No, let him answer. I want to know the answer to this. And is the answer just sure? Is that going to be part of his crusade? Is that going to get equal attention and measure? Are we now going to see Matt Walsh holding whole conferences where Tulsi Gabbard speaks and like, we are here to stop all young teenage girls from getting nose jobs and boob jobs. This is our crusade. Every single cis girl that wants to get a nose job or a boob job, they have to wait until they're adults. No more will we allow this, and then fucking make videos about it, do tours. Are you going to make a movie? What is boobs? Is that coming out? Are we going to see What is Boob soon?
It's surgical.
What is booba? What is booba?
I'm
by
happy
Matt
to
Walsh.
answer that.
You have free
Yeah,
to
let him
answer,
cook.
Mr. Walsh.
Okay. My personal feeling about banning breast enhancements for minors? Yes, I would be all for. Personally, I'd be all for banning that. Absolutely.
Are you going to make it into your crusade then, Matt? I wonder. I wonder if you'll talk about this with any level the way you talk about trans issues. The overwhelming majority of your videos are about trans people. The overwhelming majority. So I wonder if this is going to come up ever again.
Yeah.
Representative Mitchell.
Are we getting a movie
I
soon
think
or something?
The previous representative, proved that you have no medical background, correct?
No.
So you're here probably just as a public policy. You're
Nope.
trying to address good public policy, correct?
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
So I just have to question, some of your public policy, expertise.
That's fair.
When, I'm reading here, Singapore is able to have nice things in part because they execute drug dealers by hanging. And
I'm so happy you're bringing this up. Hell yes. Hell yes. Drag them.
arrest even petty vandals and thieves and beat them with a cane until they bleed.
That's
We don't
amazing.
have nice things here because we aren't willing to do what is required to maintain them. So
you know how sometimes you might dig yourself into a hole, especially if you're a larger creator, and then you get called out sometimes not only by your own community, not by other communities, but by your own community. And people are like, oof, what is this take? I normally love your shit, but what are you doing here? This is one of those things where like Matt just kept digging deeper and deeper, even as other people were like, it's not executing drug dealers alone. There's also a large amount of public spending that goes into the construction of a lot of these nice infrastructures that you're showing. It's not like they kill a drug user and then it's like a road just appears magically, or they shoot another drug dealer and then all of a sudden it's like an airport just springs up. Or what are you saying, Matt?
with statements like that, I kind of have to question your public policy beliefs. And you also stated there have been no studies. Well, I'm sitting here holding a study from the American Academy of Pediatrics, from the University of Pittsburgh, about the suicidal disparities between transgender and cisgender adults and children. So I think, before you state things, you may need to know all the facts. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Can I respond?
Chairman Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion to go back out of session, or back into session. Thank you.
Is there objection? All right. There's. All right. Would you withdraw?
Yes, I will withdraw.
Okay. All right. Is there any further questions for Mr. Walsh? Okay. See none. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Representative Clemens, who would you like to call up?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just have a single question for, I think the name was Prisha. Is that right?
Okay.
Is that right?
Yes.
I want to get back to Matt. Oh, is that the end of Matt? We missed, but the best part. What about, maybe he came earlier and I already played it. Okay, don't worry. I got it for y'all.
Surgery at 16. I know you in former comments mentioned this on your blog. At about 16, you're an adult who's mature and can make decisions. You're that at 16. I don't care what anybody says, even going so far as to say, 16 people, when you're 16, you should be married and could be pregnant or should be pregnant. So I'm curious if 16 is an adult in your view. Why does this bill have the minor defined as 18?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized.
Yeah, that's a hit piece you took from Media Matters. From something when I was a radio host.
Okay.
13, 14 years ago, in my early 20s.
A hit piece. You say.
It's also not an accurate reflection of what I actually said. I was talking about the fact that people tended to marry young historically.
That's all.
And that's all that was about. How does that relate to this?
So that's Matt Walsh right there saying that it was a hit piece by Media Matters and that he was just talking about how people just tended to get married much younger back in the day. That's it. And why is it pertinent to perhaps my current day views and feelings on legislating children who are strangers? So why don't we let Matt Walsh answer Matt Walsh in his very own words so he doesn't, get defamed by a hit piece. We'll just let him speak, okay?
Subject?
Between the ages of like 17
of course, it's so loud. Sorry.
and 24 is when they're technically most fertile.
Yeah.
Okay? That's biological. That's a fact, all right? I'm just stating facts. That's all I'm doing. But what happened recently, and this is the fourth fact. Recently, in the last 30 years or so, we decided that that's way too young to start a family.
Why?
And because
Well,
now
divorce rates would probably go up, and once you're that young, you can't really make sure that you know.
No, girls are no.
Because girls were getting married early, and marriages were lasting longer. You very rarely hear about like these relationships that go to their what is it, your diamond anniversary, your 50th anniversary, and all this. That's a dying breed of people out there.
Yeah, and those were all people that got married very young. That's why
they're still alive.
Yeah, that's why you can have someone in their 70s who's celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary because they got married when they were teenagers. So what I'm saying is that the problem is not per se teenage pregnancy, it's unwed pregnancy. That's the problem in society. It's only problematic when you are not married and you don't have the man there to help you take care of the kids because he's a coward. And the reason why we have that now are for two reasons. Because we have in current society, we live in the age of extended adolescence.
Extended adolescence. The problem is in 16-year-olds being impregnated, because at the end of the day, that is when they're most fertile, as he says. It's that they're not married. So it's cowardly men who don't then marry the children they've impregnated. The age of the man is not specified, I'll have you notice as well. So it doesn't really matter if the dude happens to be Leonardo DiCaprio aged. He could be around there. As long as they do the right thing and then wed the 16 to 17-year-olds. Again, because after all, they are at their most fertile, so... big yikes. He also, and this is something that Conyer pointed out, this old video. Here's a guy defending Theodore McCarrick, a former cardinal who was found guilty of sexual crimes against adults and minors by the Catholic Church.
Actresses willingly have sexual relationships with powerful men, sometimes for years. Asia Argento herself, I believe, she was in a sexual relationship ongoing with Harvey Weinstein for like 5 years. She kept going back and engaging in this, in this stuff with him. And they do this for the sake of movie roles and so on. And for more, power and clout in the industry. And then years later, after getting what they want out of it, they claim that they were being assaulted the entire time. And in the Catholic Church, you have some cases where like cases involving Cardinal McCarrick. You hear about Cardinal McCarrick and the controversy surrounding him. Now,
controversy is a pretty interesting way to say raping multiple children. I don't know if that's how I would phrase it. Wouldn't say like, oh, these are some perhaps spicy takes that he had. I would be like, no, this motherfucker's a pedophile who is raping children.
There are accusations that he molested children. So,
why is he in his car? That was just like a thing for Matt Walsh. He was like, he's got all his early videos. I don't know if that was the aesthetic. He's like, I'm the everyday man. It'll look like I'm going to work and taking care of my kids. So I'll film in front of the parking lots. I'll film in front of the schools. I'll film in front of the hospitals. Normal dude stuff. Talking about the sex lives of kids in my car.
That's in that category. But then a lot of the accusations you hear about McCarrick and also with other, some of these other things as well. These are, in some cases, he's having sex with seminarians. These are grown men who he allegedly lured into bed and then had sex with. But
children as well. He was also accused of raping children.
As a grown man, if you let another man lure you into bed and then you willingly, with no resistance, engage in sex acts with him,
It's a pretty fucked up thing to say about a dude who was raping kids.
Does that belong in the same category as the 12-year-old kids who are raped by men twice their size? I think clearly it doesn't. And then you also have the accusations against Asia Argento, where a guy at 17, legal age, in almost every state in the union, willingly has sex with this 100-pound Italian model, making no effort to leave the room or leave the situation. Then he comes back, black.
So much victim blaming too, like in both directions. Victim blaming male victims, victim blaming women victims, both sides.
Mails her, demands money for it, and gets paid. And now he says he was traumatized by his willing participation in sex acts with a woman when he was a few months away from his 18th birthday. Does that belong?
So you can totally understand why the House Health Committee would bring this kind of shit up. Would bring like, well, Matt, it seems if we look at your history in terms of advocacy, because that's basically what your only expertise is in this field, you advocate for some of the most fucked up, disgusting, horrifying stuff known to humankind. So no, I don't think that we should ever take Matt Walsh seriously, especially from the perspective of for the health and well-being of other human beings, not only children, but especially children, but not only children, anyone really. He should probably be restricted from being a certain degree of let's just say distance from public spaces, something to that effect. I don't know. But yeah, he got rolled. He got so rolled, and now he's doing that thing where he's like, I am not mad. I'm not mad about this. I'm definitely not angry. It's totally fine. Do you enjoy the Serfs, but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Juste, we shall spend many a generations building mighty cathedrals in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your oafish jesters, here to offer you a laugh at any opportunity. To our brave knights of the Round Table, Rachel K., Izzy Solidarity, Victoria Bell, Sebastian Demmel, Mark Harmon, Benji Arney, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood, Everything Important, Hegbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Doug Cady, Daniel Sutton, Jenna Tao, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevbot EXE, Brian Ephraim, Anthropophojack, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Nkosin, Ralph Parler, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Todd Buckingham, and Todd La Jeunesse. We salute our valiant heroes off to fight injustice everywhere.